Hello everyone, this is the real Black Otaku. Now for those of you who've been following me for any given amount of time, you know that my first review was of my all-time favorite anime, Elfen. So, I decided to put my reviewing capabilities to the test and review the one anime that has risen the most controversy. The one anime that has started the most debate amongst its viewers. And probably the one anime with the most radical fanbase outside the big three. Today, I'll be reviewing the classic mecha anime, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and its theatrical sequel, End of Evangelion. I think it's time to piss off some fanboys because I'm going to give this show the very thorough bashing it deserves. Okay, that last statement was a lie because I actually did enjoy Evangelion at times. What exactly did I or did I not like about it? Let's find out. The story takes place after a cataclysmic event known as the Second Impact. And now the Earth is under constant threat from these giant monsters called angels. In response to this new alien threat, the agency known as NERV creates this new weapon called the Evangelion in order to prevent the possible third impact. We then follow a boy named Shinji Ikari, who was called to NERV by his father Gendo Ikari in order to pilot the Evangelion and fight the angels. Evangelion starts off with this Monster of the Week format, when a new angel appears and the pilots have to figure out how to defeat that angel. As the series progresses, it takes a much darker tone as each of the characters' inner demons begin to surface. As we get deeper into the show, many questions begin to arise, like, what are the angels, and what are the Evangelions? As you can see, Evangelion has a very good concept behind it, and it kept me interested. However, as the show comes closer and closer to its end, it gets rather complicated and confusing, and this is made even worse so with the episodes 25 and 26 of the original series. I went into Evangelion knowing about these infamous last two episodes, and I thought I could give a rather decent interpretation of it. And I've never been so wrong in my life. Whenever I thought I knew what was going on, it threw a new element at me that made my last theory invalid, and it did it every 5 minutes. Thankfully there was End of Evangelion, and even that was still rather confusing in its latter half. The story gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. The characters are a very interesting bunch. Let's do a quick rundown. Shinji's a pussy, Asuka's a bitch, Rei's about as interesting as a rock, and Misato is a terrible role model. Now while the descriptions I gave each of the characters are very accurate, I can't leave it at that. They deserve more than that. Let's start with our main protagonist, Shinji, who is the pilot of EVA Unit 1. Shinji suffers from several emotional issues, which include, but are not limited to, low self-esteem, a major guilt complex, Hedgehog's dilemma, and some daddy issues. Despite all of that, and the fact that he doesn't really want to be there, he still obediently follows the orders that he's given to him. I honestly might get a lot of crap for this, but Shinji is actually my favorite character in the show, because I can see a little bit of myself in Shinji. Next we have the pilot of EVA Unit 2, Asuka. As far as I can tell, Asuka is the original tsundere character. She also has one of the biggest egos I have seen out of anyone in anime. I mean, she's up there with Kamina and Blackstar. She is also confident to the point of arrogance, but is actually, without a doubt, the most badass of the three pilots, as seen in End of Evangelion. Rei, the pilot of EVA Unit 0, is actually the most interesting character in the show. For the majority of the show, she is shrouded in mystery. And the only thing else I can say about her without giving away spoilers is that she is the iconic, emotionless doll character, paving the way for great characters like Yuki Nagato and Kanade Tachibana. Finally, we have Misato, who is in charge of the Evangelion program. She acts as a mentor, role model, and legal guardian for both Shinji and Asuka. She is kind and carefree when she wants to be, but is also cool, collected, and professional when she needs to. She does her best to make sure that those under her care and command are as safe as possible, and is more than willing to take a bullet for them. Misato is actually just as broken as any other character in the show, suffering from the trauma of being a survivor of the Second Impact, along with some personal issues of her own. Everyone else who has a name, no matter how minor they might seem, actually has purpose, and is damaged in one way, shape, or form. The only issue I have with the Evangelion cast is just how very few of them have an acceptable amount of closure in the end, even in the end of Evangelion. Even so, I still give the characters of Evangelion an 8 out of 10. Now if you ask me, the animation was very spotty for the original series. And they cut corners whenever possible, and they animated the bare minimum for the dialogue scenes. But even though they skimped very hard at times, the animation was very good at others, especially in the action scenes where everything moves beautifully. It is also worth noting that the animation progressively gets worse in the original series, and takes a major nosedive in those last 2 episodes. Thankfully, the animation was a lot better and a hell of a lot more consistent than End of Evangelion, which actually keeps the whole series from getting a bad score in this part, but I honestly can't give it any more than a 6.5 out of 10. I personally didn't think much of the Evangelion soundtrack. The songs suited the scenes that were played in very well, but nothing really stood out to me. The only song that really stuck with me is the opening song, Cruel Angel's Thesis, which was stuck in my head for almost a week after I finished the show. I give the soundtrack a 7 out of 10. Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of those shows that most people say that every anime fan should watch at least once in their lifetime. It's also one of those shows that has started the most discussion, even nearly 20 years after the fact. As a work of art, it's considered a masterpiece. However, since I am one who usually watches anime as an enjoyment media, I wasn't able to properly appreciate it. The ending of the original series screwed with my head in ways I really didn't enjoy, and while End of Evangelion filled a lot of those holes, it still left me confused in the end. For enjoyment, Evangelion gets a 7 out of 10. Looking over Evangelion as a whole, it gets an overall score of 7.4 out of 10. Am I saying the show is bad? No. And would I recommend others to see it? Yes. I think everyone should see Evangelion at least once. Would I be willing to rewatch it? Of course I am. Who knows, maybe things will be a lot clearer for me when I go back to watch it again, and maybe the new rebuild movies will change my outlook on the franchise as a whole. Only time will tell. So that was my review for Evangelion. What are your thoughts on the show? What are your thoughts on some things I brought up? For those of you who have seen the show, what's your interpretation of those last 2 episodes? I want to know your guys' opinion, and your interpretation of that ending. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check my vlogging channel. I listen to trolling. That's all I have to say for right now. This is the Real Black Otaku signing out. See ya.